forgot 2017. Magnus Trace. Yep. Hey fellow fiction fanatics, I'm Chase. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the history of my bookshelf tag. This video was originally done by Emma Book, so I'll link her video down below. Alright, let's get into it. First question is, what is the oldest book on my bookshelf? And that would be Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This is one of the few classics that I read and enjoyed in school. So the next couple questions are, what is a book that you read in the years 2013 through 2019? So a book that I read in 2013 is The House of Hades by Rick Riordan. I really enjoyed this book and I love everything by Rick Riordan. He is one of my all-time favorite authors. Book that I read in 2014 is The Revenge of Seven by Pittacus Lore. This is the 5th book in the Lorien Legacies, or the I Am Number 4 series. This is such an underrated series and far more people need to read it because it is really, really good. So a book that I read in 2015 was The Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in the Magnus Chase trilogy, and I think this book is hilarious and has such a great cast of characters. In 2016, I read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. So technically these are prequel novellas that came before Throne of Glass and kind of what led up to Selena being sent to the salt mines. And these novellas are actually far more important than people realize, so I'm really glad that I actually read them first and then jumped into the Throne of Glass series because of how integral these short stories really are to the series. A book that I read in 2017 was The Clockwork Princess. I really enjoyed this trilogy. I thought it was good, but it just wasn't a favorite for me. In 2018, I read Illuminae. I think this trilogy is so cool and loved reading along with the audiobook. I think that's definitely the way to go with this. The audiobook has a full cast of characters and the format is so intriguing and interesting to see and to read, and it's such a good book. I really enjoyed reading this trilogy. In 2019, I read On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I thought The Hate U Give was phenomenal, and I thought this one was really good as well. I really love the characters and the humor and the story. It's so good, and Angie Thomas is definitely an auto-buy author for me. So the next question is, what is a book that you've read more than once? So for that, I'm going to say A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I think this is such a fantastic retelling. The first one is so great because it's true to the Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it still has these twists and turns that make it its own. I thought it was so great to see that. Question 10 is, what is a book that you had to wait over a year to be published? So for that, I'm picking Winter by Marissa Meyer. So I remember finishing Crest and being super excited to read Winter, and then we waited a year, like you have to do. They announced that they were releasing a novella about Lavanna, and she's the evil queen in this series, so it was really cool to see that. But then they announced, well, yeah, we're pushing back Winter another year, so that was disappointing. But I really enjoyed this whole series. I absolutely love it. So there's definitely going to be a few more Marissa Meyer books on this list. The next question is, what is a book that you read on vacation or away from home? So I vividly remember getting this book for Christmas, picking it up right away, and that is Stars Above by, again, Marissa Meyer. This is a collection of novellas that feature our characters when they were younger, but the last story in this book is the best by far because it's what happens after Winter and involves all our characters. It's just this quick little story, but I absolutely love to see the little conclusion of what happened after the end of the series. Question number 12 is, name a book that you got someplace special, meaning not your local bookstore or online. Unfortunately, I get most of my books online, so I had to really think about this one. The book I chose is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. So I actually got this book at the airport when I had a 4-hour layover and had finished the book that I was planning to read on the plane. So I picked this up and I fell in love with this story. It's a retelling of Cinderella, but this book is set in the future after World War IV, and Cinder is a mechanic and a cyborg. It's fairy tales in space. What more could you ask for? Question 13 is, name a book that made you cry. So for that, I'm picking Dear Evan Hansen by Val Emmett, Stephen Levinson, Benji Pasek, and Justin Paul. Probably butchered their names, but this is the book version of the musical Dear Evan Hansen, and I really enjoyed this book. It definitely made me cry. I love how they did the song aspects of it. Seeing that in book format was really cool, and I wondered how they were going to do that. We also got to see Connor's perspective, which I thought was a really cool aspect to this book. Question 14 is, what is a book that you read in one sitting? For that, I'm picking Pumpkinheads by Faith Erin Hicks and Rainbow Rowell. This is such a sweet, fabulous, adorable graphic novel that is perfect for fall, and I just picked it up and read it in one sitting and loved every minute of it. Question 15 is what is a book that was gifted to you? So for that, I chose Paper Magician series by Charlie N. Holmberg. I really enjoyed this series. The series is so unique and different from most magic books that I've read. I think this is a very underrated series, and I think a lot more people would really enjoy it if they picked it up. Question 16 is what is a book that you read before owning? That's a vast majority of books on my shelves, but for that I chose the Land of Stories series by Chris Colfer. These books are so fantastic, so amazing. I thought they were just going to be simple middle grade books that I would somewhat enjoy, but I absolutely fell in love with this. I remember just needing to pick up the next one, and I remember reading these and loving them. When I finished them, I just knew that I had to add them to my collection. Number 17 is what is a book that you've lent out to someone? So I have lent out I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Lore. This is the first book in the Lorien Legacies. This is a fantastic series, and I lent this to my sister when she wanted to read it. Question 18 is name a book on your shelf that has been damaged. So for that, I have to say The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. So it doesn't look all that bad from the outside. It has a little bit of a tear here, line right here, and that's because when you open it up, yeah, probably need to replace this one pretty soon. But that means it's well loved, right? Number 19 is what is a book that you got on sale or discounted? So I actually got this book when Barnes & Noble was doing their 50% off sale, and that is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Question 20 is what is a book that you have read with someone else? So for that, I'm picking The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. My mom actually read this with me when I was really young, and I fell in love with the story. Then years ago, I actually read it with my younger sister. She really enjoyed it as well, so I read it with both my mom and my sister. Question 21 is what is a book that you associate with a song? So for that, I'm choosing Never Forever by L.R. Johnson. This book actually reminds me of two songs, but one of them is really spoilery, so I won't name that one. But the song that I associate this book with is Budapest by George Ezra. I feel like it is a theme song for one of the characters in this book. Every time I pick it up or look at it, I can't help but have that song come into my head. Question 22 is what is a book that you associate with food? So for that, I'm picking Crazy Rich Asians. I craved Chinese food while reading this. It talks about this decadent and delicious food, had my mouth watering, and I craved Chinese food so bad while reading this book. Question 23 is what is a book that you got years ago but probably wouldn't buy now? And for me, that's The Selection by Kiara Cass. I actually just gave those books to my sister because I realized I don't love them as much as I used to. I still think they were a great fun read when I read them at the time, and I really enjoyed them. Considering that she's 9 years younger than me and she's read them and really enjoyed them, she'll like them longer than I will, so I gave them to her. Question 24 is name a book that you associate with a specific time in your life. For that, I'm picking Harry Potter, specifically Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. I read this book when I was in 6th or 7th grade, and I had this really weird phase at the time where I only read books when I was in the car. So I would literally pick my book up when we were going to the car and driving around, and then when we came inside, I would set it down and I wouldn't read. Specifically, remember reading Harry Potter this way. I don't know why I did this, but that's the specific memory I have with these books, along with them being amazing, of course. Question 25 is what is a book that you used to like but don't anymore? So it's not that I don't like this book, but last year I reread The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. When I got to The Silver Chair, I had remembered really liking The Silver Chair, and when I reread that book, for some reason I just didn't get as much enjoyment out of it as I had remembered. So it's not bad by any means, but it's just didn't live up to what I remembered it to be. Question 26 is what is the newest book on your shelf? So my newest published book that's on my shelf is The House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. I have not read this yet because it has kind of that creepy vibe. I hope to read it in the fall. Alright, so that's all the questions for the history of my bookshelf tag. I'd love to know if you read any of these books and what your thoughts and opinions are about them. Let me know in the comments down below. If you're watching this and you haven't already done this tag, I tag you to do this video. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to share the love. I'll see you next time. Bye!